This is Good Morning San Diego.
Big changes to the renting laws in San Diego, and there are some new regulations you want to know if you don't own. Here to tell us what they mean for you is California licensed real estate broker Mark Powell. Mark, good morning.
Morning, Allie.
So tell me a little bit, because there are 6 new laws that a lot of people probably kind of missed here.
Yeah, the first one that I want to talk about is how do you screen a client for rent. Now, you used to be able to use their credit score. You'd run a criminal background and credit score. Landlords are no longer allowed to use credit scores. It's commonly known as FICO scores, which is ironic because if you apply for a loan for a car, if you want to get a equity line on your house, you have to use your credit score. Now there's no way for them to use that. In fact, they can get in trouble for using it, which puts renters in a kind of sellers in kind of a awkward situation because they're not able to screen out their clients appropriately. Might get somebody with a 500 FICO score, hasn't paid their bills ever.
You would have no idea. Now, tell me about the squatters and trespass letter extended to 1 year. What does that mean?
Okay, this is a big one. So when you have a vacant house, if you don't apply with the police department that's given that 602 letter saying, hey, my house is vacant, somebody can print a lease off of the internet, sign it, forge the landlord's name on it, and move in. Now, the landlord comes in there and says, what are you doing in this house? This is vacant. We're putting it up for rent. They say, no, I'm the renter now, and here's my lease. Well, I never signed that. When the police get there, this is a civil matter. It's not a crime. So now they have to go through the eviction process. So if you put this letter in to the police department, it says this house is vacant for a year, and the police then can remove those people.
Okay, good to know. Also, security deposits, what's changed with those?
You're no longer allowed to charge more than 1 month's rent of security deposit. So you can't say, hey, you have a dog, I'm going to charge a little bit more. But there's some specific things about that, is that the landlord who owns one property is exempt. 1 or 2 properties are exempt, and the landlord that has not more than 4 properties is exempt.
Okay.
So the regular mom and pop, they can still do it.
Okay, what about scooters and e-bikes? This is interesting.
Okay. Do you remember when they had those little scooters and they were catching on fire and people were saying, hey, these things are catching on fire? Well, landlords were saying, hey, you can't charge that scooter or that e-bike because what if it catches on fire? So they changed that law to say, yes, you can if the battery passes the Consumer Protection Act. It has to qualify. So they can charge them in the units now.
Okay, what about renters with disabilities?
All right, so if you have a disability and you're on the 2nd floor and there's no elevator, the landlord has to allow you to move to a lower unit, well, a single level floor, and cannot deny you that unless you're going from a 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom. It has to be equal. Okay,
did we cover, I think, all of them, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
So people need to pay attention, whether you're a renter or whether you're somebody who is the landlord, essentially. You know, you should pay attention to these and stay up to date on all of them.
The important thing now is that if a landlord violates some of these, there's some hefty fines now. So they've imposed fines if they violate some of these rules. They can pay a lot of money just to get out of those things.
Okay, Mark Powell, thanks for coming in and letting us know a little bit about some of these that maybe some people didn't know about.
Thank you for having me.
All right.